I smoothly glide my brand new metallic gray Subaru Crosstrek into my parents' driveway, cherishing the soft rumble of the engine under my fingertips. $36,000. Fully paid. No debt, no loans, just 4 years of steadfast commitment culminating in this shining symbol of my hard work. We did it, I whisper, caressing the sleek leather steering wheel. The unmistakable aroma of a new car fills the air, a scent far more delightful than anything designer fragrances can offer. My moment of triumph shatters when I notice Naomi's old Corolla parked askew, taking up half the driveway. I have to navigate awkwardly, trying to avoid scraping my spotless paint against the low stone wall bordering Dad's perfectly kept lawn. Typical Naomi, hogging space without a care in the world. Inside, the familiar scene unfolds. Mom is arranging a casserole on the dining table, Dad is pouring iced tea, and there's Naomi sprawled out in her usual chair, mindlessly scrolling on her phone. They all glance up as I walk in. There she is, Dad declares, nodding toward the window. Saw your new ride pull in. Looks nice. Mom adds with a tight smile that doesn't quite reach her eyes. Sensible. The word lingers in the atmosphere like a pointed jab, sensible Blair. Reliable Blair. Dull Blair. It's stunning. I interject, unwilling to let her downplay this triumph. It had 0 miles when I drove it off the lot earlier today. Naomi finally looks up, her gaze sharp with curiosity. A Crosstrek, huh? Those come with that new touchscreen system, right? I nod, placing my keys on the counter, a rookie mistake I'll soon regret. Mind taking it for a spin, she asks with a casual tone, as if inquiring about borrowing a sweater rather than a $36,000 vehicle. Just around the block. No. The word escapes firmer than I meant, but I stand my ground. You're not on my insurance, and I don't give you permission. Her face tightens. You're always so uptight. I'll drive it eventually, you know me. The implied threat hangs raw between us, but before I can reply, Mom jumps in. Let's eat before everything goes cold, she urges, slipping into her peacemaker role. As we settle at the table, my thoughts wander back to the 4 tough years that brought me to this moment. For years of skipping happy hour outings while my colleagues created memories without me. For years of sharing an apartment with 3 strangers who left dirty dishes piled high and blasted music until the early hours. For relentless years of cooking every meal at home, freelancing on weekends instead of resting, and tracking every single dollar in a spreadsheet that became my nightly ritual. And through all this, Naomi flitted from job to job, apartment to apartment, and relationship to relationship, leaving behind a trail of unpaid debts and lost belongings. Yet somehow, I was always viewed as the unreasonable one when I finally declared enough was enough. So, how's the new place? Dad asks, passing the bread basket. All settled? Getting there, I reply, grateful for a shift in conversation. Still need to hang some pictures. You should hire someone, Naomi suggests, puncturing a potato. You'll probably try a DIY job. I swallow my retort along with a mouthful of chicken that suddenly has the texture of sawdust. Same old routine. Naomi jabs, I absorb. Peace reigns. But today, something feels different. Maybe it's the car parked outside, tangible proof that holding my ground leads to results. I'll manage, I say simply. Excuse me for a moment, I need to grab my jacket from upstairs. It's a bit chilly in here. The dining room feels worlds away as I traverse the familiar stairs, brushing my hand along the banister smoothed from years of family traffic. I linger briefly in my former bedroom, now Dad's office, allowing nostalgia to wash over me before heading back down. Halfway to my seat, I notice it, the vacant spot on the counter where my keys once lay. Where are my keys? I ask, my tone unnaturally calm even as alarm bells ring in my head. Mom's expression reveals everything before she speaks. Naomi just wanted to experience it. She'll be careful. I said no explicitly. My hands curl into fists at my sides. Where did she go? Mom and Dad exchange a look I've seen countless times, the silent agreement of parents united against what they see as an unreasonable child. She just went around the block, she'll be right back, Dad assures me, his tone suggesting I'm overreacting. I pull out my phone and dial Naomi's number, already knowing what to expect. The call goes straight to voicemail. My stomach twists with a nauseating mix of betrayal and anger, feelings that are strangely unfamiliar but long overdue. For the first time, I see with startling clarity that this situation isn't just about a car. It's about 3 decades of crossed boundaries, broken promises, and a lack of respect. It's about a family dynamic built on my compliance. And now, for the very first time, I'm done complying. As my phone buzzes on the dining table, an unknown number lights up the screen, causing my parents to abruptly halt their argument. Their gazes lock onto my hand hovering over the device. Hello? I respond, trying to escape their watchful eyes. Miss Lucia? This is Officer Grant Cooper from the Jefferson County Police, he says. His tone reflects a practiced neutrality that suggests he's delivered bad news many times before. Your vehicle has been involved in an accident. Luckily, the driver is unharmed. My heart sinks. Where? I ask, feeling dread wash over me. He gives me an address just 3 miles away, a bustling intersection near the mall where Naomi likely intended to flaunt my car to her friends. Without uttering a word to my parents, I grab my purse and storm out, summoning a ride-share with trembling fingers. When I arrive, the scene knocks the breath from my lungs. My cherished Crosstrek, a product of 4 years of hard work and sacrifice, lays crumpled against a concrete barrier. The front end is twisted like discarded wrapping paper, airbags have deployed and dangled uselessly from the dashboard. The metallic gray paint that sparkled just this morning is now dulled by dust and debris. But what infuriates me isn't just the wreck, it's Naomi, leaning casually against a police cruiser, laughing with a young officer as she poses for a selfie, my devastated car perfectly framed in the background. Officer Cooper approaches me, a tablet in hand. Miss Lucia? I'm Officer Cooper. We spoke on the phone. That's my car, I reply, my voice unnaturally steady despite the fury roiling inside me. And that's my sister who took it without my permission. He nods, swipes his screen, and turns it toward me. She's already put this online. My eyes meet Naomi's Instagram post showcasing a pouting selfie beside my wrecked car, captioned, "Oops, big sis will forgive me. New car problems. Sorry not sorry." I noticed the timestamp, just 4 minutes prior. The insurance adjuster has made an initial assessment, Officer Cooper continues. The estimated damage amounts to $41,600. Given the age of the car and the extent of the damage, it's likely a total loss. That number hangs heavily, reminding me it's $5,600 more than what I paid just earlier today. Clenching my fists in frustration, I hear him confirm what I already feared. She admitted to taking the vehicle without permission. That's unauthorized use under Colorado law. Just then, my phone buzzes from my mother. Don't turn this into a family crisis. It's just a car. Just a car? Just 4 years of missed opportunities. Just countless late nights of freelance work after long days. Just ramen dinners while others enjoyed fancy meals. Just a car that symbolized my autonomy from this level of disrespect. Suddenly, a man in a sharp blue suit approaches, extending his hand. Miss Lucia? I'm Calvin Brooks from your insurance company. Can we talk in private for a moment? He leads me a few steps away and lowers his voice. Based on the police report, this looks like unauthorized use. In these situations, we can go after the at-fault driver directly instead of processing this through your policy. I raise an eyebrow. Meaning? Meaning your rates won't increase, there's no deductible for you to pay, and your sister will be held financially liable for the damage. Our eyes lock, and he adds, but you must be clear that she didn't have permission. Before I can respond, an elderly woman approaches, Mrs. Winters, who lives a few houses down. Blair? I recognized the car from the Neighborhood Alert app. I was watering my hostess when she drove off. I saw her take your keys from the counter. I distinctly heard you say no. I express my gratitude, astonished by this unexpected support. Just then, my phone rings. It's Rachel from work. Blair? I just saw Naomi's post. Are you all right? My brother's a lawyer specializing in insurance cases. Let me know if you need any advice. Moments later, my parents' SUV comes screeching to a halt in the emergency lane, parked haphazardly as they race toward Naomi. Mom engulfs her in a protective embrace while Dad demands answers from a nearby officer. After a swift exchange, Dad strides over, his face flushed with anger. We need to talk, he says, pulling me aside by the elbow. His tone drops to a sharp whisper. You have to tell the police she had permission to drive. I yank my arm free. That would be lying. Stop being ridiculous. If you go through with this, her insurance rates will skyrocket. She could lose her job if they check her credit after a verdict like this. Mom steps up beside him, her eyes narrowed in alarm. If you go through with this, you'll ruin your sister's future, she hisses. Is that really what you want? All because of a car? Over my shoulder, I catch a glimpse of Naomi observing our conversation, a subtle smirk creeping onto her face when our parents turn away. She silently mouths the words I can interpret perfectly. They'll make you forgive me, just like always. It's the same familiar pattern that threads back through our childhood, adolescence, and into adulthood. Every borrowed and never returned sweater, every emergency loan, every crashed laptop, each promise broken. Officer Cooper strides over, tablet in hand. Miss Lucia, I need to verify for the record. Did your sister have authorization to drive your car today? My parents' intense gazes pierce through me, their expectations unmistakable. The burden of 30 years rests heavily on my shoulders, 30 years of maintaining harmony, of being diplomatic, of prioritizing Naomi's needs above my own. I take a deep breath to steady myself. No, I state firmly. She did not have permission to drive my vehicle. She seized my keys after I explicitly told her not to. The officer nods, tapping his screen. I'm noting this for the report. Be aware, this may influence how your insurance processes the claim, and it could mean your sister is held personally liable for any damages. My parents' expressions shift from pressure to astonishment, as if they've just discovered something new in me. Perhaps they have. As the tow truck hoists the remnants of my car, I slip into the passenger seat beside the driver. I feel oddly lighter than I have in years, despite being alone. The tow truck pulls away from the curb, leaving my family behind in the deepening evening shadows, their figures shrinking in the side mirror as we drive off. The following day at work, my phone buzzes incessantly. I place it face down on the kitchen counter, but the notifications relentlessly keep coming. The vibrations pulsing through the granite remind me of an electric shock. Family group chat. 27 new messages in just 1 hour. I flip it over. Mom's latest message jumps out at the top. Family meeting tonight. Mandatory. Below her text, a stream of relatives weigh in. Aunt Patricia, your sister made a mistake. It's what insurance is for. Uncle Henry, back in my day, siblings had each other's backs. Cousin Jennifer, blood is thicker than water, Blair. I turn my phone face down again. The buzzing persists against the counter. My coffee has gone cold, but I take a sip anyway, relishing the bitter flavor. It fits my mood perfectly. Suddenly, the landline rings, startling me. Almost no one has that number. I let it go to voicemail, and then I hear the familiar beep followed by a voice. Blair, it's Martha from reception. Your father called. There's a family emergency, and you need to leave immediately. I told him you were in a client meeting. He sounded intense. Call me back. I grip my mug tighter. Ah, the classic family emergency tactic. My father knows exactly which buttons to press and how to manipulate the situation. I pick up the phone and dial the office. Martha, I'm fine. No emergency. If he tries to call again, please don't connect him. Is everything all right? Martha's voice conveys real concern. Just some family drama. Thanks for checking in. After disconnecting, I catch sight of an email notification. Subject line, prayer request for Blair. My mother has informed her entire church prayer group that I'm going through a spiritual crisis. The email details how I've hardened my heart against the family, asking for prayers to help me return to Christian forgiveness. Anger ignites within me, hot and electric. They're rallying every resource at their disposal, pulling all the levers in the family machine that has kept me in line for 30 years. But this time, something feels distinctly different. The machine is now at odds with a new version of myself, one they haven't faced before. I snatch up the keys to the rental car and stride outside. The insurance office is nestled in a small strip mall sandwiched between a dry cleaner and a sandwich shop. Calvin Brooks welcomes me with a handshake and leads me into his cramped office filled with diplomas and family photos vying for wall space alongside insurance company accolades. Miss Lucia, I'm grateful you could come in. I have the paperwork for the claim ready. Just call me Blair, I say, taking a seat across from him. I appreciate your thoroughness. My family is exerting pressure. Calvin nods in understanding. He slides a folder towards me. These are the no permissive use forms. Signing these confirms that your sister lacked permission to drive your vehicle. I flip through the pages, examining them closely. And this? Calvin adds, presenting another document, "This is a request for subrogation against the at-fault driver, your sister, in this scenario." My hand hovers above the paper, the pen feeling heavier than expected. "Most people yield to family pressure," Calvin observes quietly, "especially with siblings." I meet his gaze. "Not this time." I sign with intention on each line. Each autograph feeling like I'm breaking free from chains that have held me captive since childhood. As Calvin makes copies, I pull out my phone to create a new folder in my cloud storage, snapping pictures of each document, building a collection. The police report. The damage assessments. Screenshots of Naomi's social media ramblings about the crash. Documentation. Evidence. A safeguard against the inevitable gaslighting. Calvin hands me the copies. The insurance company will take it from here. Just a heads up, family doesn't typically handle it well when you stop conforming to their expectations. The foreboding warning rings true as I make my way to my parents' home that evening. Mom has elegantly arranged the dining table with our cherished china and crystal glasses, which we only whip out for Thanksgiving and Christmas. At the heart of it all sits a beautifully roasted chicken, artfully surrounded by an array of perfectly arranged vegetables. Candles flicker, casting a welcoming light that starkly contrasts with the uneasy knot in my stomach. Dad fills his glass with wine, neglecting to ask if I'd like any for myself. Mom soon appears, carrying Naomi's all-time favorite cherry pie, feigning that this is a joyful event rather than a trap awaiting me. Naomi is the last to arrive, her gaze fixed on the floor as if rehearsing regret. Her disheveled look is striking just enough to imply she's been through something, though not convincingly distressed. As we settle in, Mom raises her glass, declaring, "To family forgiveness." Naomi and Dad join in, but I leave mine untouched on the table. Clearing her throat, Naomi says, "Blair, I'm sorry you're feeling upset about the car. I understand it was significant to you." The lackluster apology hangs in the air like a lead balloon. It's not an acknowledgement of her wrongdoing, it's simply an expression of my distress. Without a word, I retrieve a manila envelope from my purse that I had prepared ahead of time, sliding it across the table toward Naomi. Her confusion is palpable. "What's this?" she asks, hesitantly avoiding contact with it. "Open it," I reply. She obeys, extracting a series of documents, the police report, the damage estimate amounting to $41,600, and the notice of subrogation from my insurance provider. Dad snatches the papers from her grasp, his expression darkening as he schemes through them, alarm escalating on his face as he reaches the last page. "What have you done?" he demands, his voice rising steadily. Standing up, the chair screeches against the wooden floor. It's time I held Naomi accountable, something I should have done long ago. "You've lodged an official complaint against your sister? Your own flesh and blood?" Mom's voice wavers between outrage and shock. "The insurance company is seeking damages from her. This transcends family emotions. It's about legal obligation now." "We raised you better than this," Dad growls, slamming his palm on the table, making all eyes dart to him. Family defends family. Clearly, that defense has only ever flowed one way. My voice remains unexpectedly calm. Naomi takes. I give. That stops right now. I notice the tears welling in Naomi's eyes, though they never fully cascade down. The pseudo-emotional display seems rehearsed. "I can't believe you'd betray me like this," she wails. "My credit is at stake." I respond firmly, "Naomi, you made your choices. You took my car after I clearly said no, and you crashed it. You opted to post photos gleefully mocking it. You had options." Mom intervenes, sliding closer to Naomi, draping an arm around her shoulders. "Blair, think rationally. You could call the insurance and say you've reconsidered." I shake my head. "Actually, I can't. Once subrogation begins, it's beyond my control." This isn't entirely accurate, but they don't need to know that. Now, Dad stands over the table, towering. "You've always been envious of your sister, desperately seeking attention. Is this all just revenge?" The sting of the accusation doesn't hurt as much as it would have in the past. "This is about consequences, Dad. Plain and simple." Just then, my phone interrupts the escalating tension. Calvin's name lights up on the screen, perfect timing. "Excuse me, I need to take this," I say, removing myself from the table despite Mom's protests. I step into the kitchen, answering, "Calvin, hi." His voice is reassuring over the line. "Just an update, we've officially filed the claim against your sister. If she fails to respond in 30 days, it escalates to collections." "Thanks for the heads up," I reply, purposefully keeping my tone loud enough to be heard. As I re-enter the dining room, their eyes land on me, filled with suspicion and anger. "That was my insurance agent," I say, though the explanation feels unnecessary, "and the claim has been filed." Dad's face flushes with anger. "What have you done?" I reply, a kind smile on my face. "Just what you taught me, Dad. I'm taking charge of my life and decisions. It's time for Naomi to do the same." Grabbing my purse, I stride toward the door, ignoring the chorus of objections rising behind me. Outside, I inhale the crisp evening air deeply. My phone buzzes with a text from Rachel. "How did it go? Do you need support?" On my drive home, I type back, "I'll call you. You won't believe what just transpired." As I glance back at my parents' house in the rearview mirror, it shrinks further away. For the first time, the urge to turn back, apologize, appease, play the peacemaker, vanishes. Instead, I'm filled with a liberating sensation, shedding a weight I should have never borne. 3 weeks later, I pull into my parents' driveway precisely 7 minutes early, with Rachel's shiny BMW parking perfectly behind mine. A familiar angst wells up in my stomach as I observe the cars parked, including Dad's Buick, Mom's Volvo, and Aunt Patricia's age-worn station wagon. The family tribunal has gathered. "Remember," Rachel says, tucking her auburn hair behind her ear, "if this gets uncomfortable, you don't have to stay." I nod, clenching my leather portfolio tighter. "Thanks for coming." The small voice recorder feels like a weight in my pocket as we approach the door. Mom opens it before I get a chance to knock, her smile tense and rehearsed. "Blair, sweetheart." Her glance shifts to Rachel, confusion flickering in her eyes. "I didn't realize you were bringing someone along." "This is Rachel," I say, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. "She's here to support me." As we cross into the living room, silence envelopes us. Dad gets up from his recliner, his brow knitted tight. Uncle Frank and Aunt Patricia sit stiffly on the couch, their faces a mirror of disapproval. The dining table shines with Mom's finest china and silverware, as transparent a manipulation tactic as cellophane. What's going on here? Dad gestures toward Rachel. I set the recorder down on the coffee table, its red light beeping steadily. For my protection. I can almost feel the temperature drop. Protection? Mom's voice rises. From your family? Yes, I respond plainly, taking a seat in front of them. Rachel sits next to me, her presence firm and comforting. Suddenly, the front door opens, and Naomi walks in 30 minutes late, her eyes puffy and red-rimmed. The usual confidence is gone, replaced by drooping shoulders and quivering lips. I've been put on administrative leave, she declares bluntly, dramatically sinking into an armchair. They said the insurance investigation makes me a liability. Mom rushes to her, soothing her hair. Dad clenches his jaw, glaring at me. I hope you're pleased, he growls. The old Blair would have crumbled, apologized, and tried to mend things. But the new Blair leans in. Naomi, can we discuss what happened with my car? What's there to discuss, she sniffs. You're ruining my life over a silly accident. Was it truly an accident when you took my keys after I said no? The room falls silent. Naomi's eyes dart to the recorder and then back to me. You're recording this? Seriously? Please, answer the question. Naomi looks to our parents for help, but I press on. Did I give you permission to drive my car? No, she mutters. Speak up, please. For the record. Her eyes narrow. No, okay. I knew you said no, but you always say no. You're so uptight about your precious belongings. So you consciously took my car without consent. That's enough. Dad interrupts, reaching under the coffee table. He pulls out a manila folder and slams it onto the coffee table. We have a solution. He slides a document toward me, showing a settlement agreement with Naomi's messy signature already at the bottom. $5,000, he explains, tapping the paper. She'll pay you $5,000 for the deductible. You drop the insurance claim, and we forget this ugly episode. I scan the densely packed pages, anger tightening in my chest with each line. The waiver of liability stands out prominently, releasing all claims against Naomi. This isn't nearly adequate, Rachel whispers beside me. Mom leans forward, her voice sweet as honey but her gaze as hard as stone. We raised you better than this, Blair. Family doesn't do this to one another. Aunt Patricia adds, her voice quavering with feigned emotion, remember who drove you to piano lessons every Tuesday for 8 years? Who stayed with you in the ER when you broke your ankle? Uncle Frank clears his throat. Your mother thinks you may be having some mental health issues. This fixation on punishing your sister isn't healthy. I slowly close the folder, my pulse steady despite the heat coursing through me. I appreciate the offer, but I'll have to decline. Decline? Dad sputters. The insurance company has already initiated proceedings. It's beyond my control. That's nonsense. Dad snaps. You can halt this at any time. Actually, she can't, Rachel interjects, her professional demeanor slicing through the tension. Once subrogation starts, the insurance company handles the claim on their own. It's their money now, not Blair's. Dad's face turns crimson. If you pursue this, I'll disinherit you. Is that what you want? The threat hangs heavy in the air, the ultimate weapon of a parent. I meet his gaze unwaveringly. That's your right, just as this is mine. Naomi abruptly leaps to her feet, mascara running down her cheeks. They're garnishing my wages. Do you understand? I can't afford my apartment. Fix this. Mom insists, jabbing a finger at me. Call them tomorrow and make it stop. The process takes months, I explain, keeping my composure as Naomi's tears flow more quickly. The insurance company sends multiple notices before taking action. You've always been envious of your sister, Mom spits, always vying for attention. Rachel leans forward. Mrs. Lucia, wage garnishment requires a court order. If Naomi has reached this point, it means she's disregarded multiple legal notifications. This isn't Blair's fault. It's all about Naomi's decisions and her lack of response. A wave of quiet consumes the room as my family glances at one another, suddenly aware that I'm well prepared for their tactics. My phone vibrates. Calvin's name lights up the screen. I must take this, I announce, getting up from the couch. Rachel gets up too, gathering her handbag. In the kitchen, Calvin's tone is brisk and businesslike. Naomi hasn't replied to any of our letters. The collections process is kicking off soon, and her credit will start to take a hit next week. Thanks for the heads up. Mom appears in the doorway, her eyes ablaze with curiosity. Who is that? The insurance guy? Hand me the phone. I step back and say, we're heading out now. Blair, Elizabeth, Lucia, don't even think about leaving. But I do, with Rachel trailing behind me. Inside her car, doors locked and my parents' house disappearing in the rearview mirror, I finally breathe out. You handled that well, Rachel says, merging onto the main road. My phone buzzes again with messages, coworkers planning a weekend getaway to the mountains, and a note from my neighbor simply stating, standing up to family is the toughest. Proud of you. Just 2 days later, Naomi bursts into my workplace, her voice cutting through the silence of the accounting department. Where's my sister? Security promptly escorts her out as my colleagues watch, astonished. Within hours, Dad calls my boss, insisting on some sort of action. Mr. Patterson calls me into his office, but not for the reason I dread. Family squabbles should remain outside these walls, he states firmly. Your performance is outstanding. That's all that matters here. By Friday, 3 women from Mom's prayer group reach out, asking for coffee. We want to hear your perspective, one text reads. Marian hasn't been fully honest, has she? The final fracture occurs when Naomi calls, her voice fragile. Dad insists I must resolve this myself, she sobs. He can't bail me out anymore. From Mom's friend Beverly, who runs the salon where Mom gets her highlights, I discover that my parents are clashing over how they've handled the situation. Marian admitted something I never thought I'd hear, Beverly whispers over the phone. She said maybe they did indulge her too much. Perhaps you had a point all along. I hang up and gaze at my reflection in the window, surprised to see my shoulders no longer slumped inward. For the first time in 30 years, I'm standing tall. At 10:38 p.m. on Monday, there's a sudden pounding on my door. 3 sharp knocks, a pause, then 3 more, urgent yet restrained, as if someone is trying to balance hurry with caution. Looking through the peephole, I see Naomi hunched against my door, her mascara running in dramatic streams down her cheeks. I take a deep breath, counting to 5, before letting it out. The butterflies in my stomach feel more like hornets now. Blair, please, I know you're in there. Her voice trembles at the end. Against my better judgment, I open the door but keep the security chain attached, a physical barrier between us. Naomi looks different than usual. Her typically flawless hair hangs limply, and her tear-swollen eyes widen when she sees me. She clutches an old photo album under her arm, one I recognize from our childhood home. Can I come in? Please? She glances anxiously down the hallway. I've been sleeping in my car. I didn't know where else to turn. That statement hangs heavily between us, wielded for maximum effect. The old version of me would have unhooked the chain right away. Why are you here, Naomi? She raises the photo album. I found this at Mom and Dad's. Remember when we were kids? Before everything, before these car issues drove a wedge between us? Inside the album, I know I'll find pictures of two little girls in matching dresses. Naomi's arm wrapped around me, my smile always a beat behind hers. Proof of a connection that's more myth than reality. My phone buzzes in my pocket. Mom, right on cue. I ignore the call, but a text follows promptly. She's your sister. She's been sleeping in her car. At least talk to her. The precision of it feels almost impressive. Can I please come in? Naomi pleads again. I shut the door, unhook the chain, and retreat. She steps inside, immediately claiming my couch-like territory. The photo album is spread open on my coffee table. Remember this? She points to a faded Polaroid of us at Yellowstone, matching braids, toothy grins. We were so close back then. My phone buzzes again, and this time Dad's name appears on the screen. Dad too? I ask, rejecting his call. Naomi shrugs, suddenly preoccupied with a loose thread on my pillow. They're concerned about you. About me? About what you've been through. Father Michael called me yesterday. He thinks you should consider reconciliation. He believes forgiveness is divine. The mere mention of our family priest ignites a fiery wave of emotion in me. Did you really bring the church into this? Naomi quickly wipes away a tear that seems to appear at the most inopportune moment. Cousin David is planning some sort of intervention, aimed at your cold heart. My cold heart? I echo, feeling the weight of the words. Mom's blood pressure is skyrocketing due to all this turmoil. She looks up, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. She had to up her medication. I head to the kitchen, pour a glass of water, and take slow sips while gazing at the darkened window. Outside, the lights of Denver streak across the glass. Inside, I sense the heavy burden of 3 decades of conditioning pressing against me. Suddenly, my phone lights up, it's a notification. A new video from Naomi's social media, uploaded just 40 minutes ago, when family abandonment leaves you homeless. My story. I pivot, still clutching the glass. You shared this just 40 minutes ago? Naomi's eyes widen with confusion, only to be replaced by a quick recovery. I'm just trying to process everything. From my bedroom, I pull out an old birthday card I stumbled upon while unpacking. The cover features 2 cartoon bears in a warm embrace, and inside, in Naomi's flowing handwriting, it reads, "Sisters forever, no matter what, love always, Naomi." I hold it in my hands, feeling a familiar rush of doubt. My fingers trace the familiar letters, reminiscing about how dear this card was to me, a testament to the real bond we once shared. For a fleeting, dangerous moment, the thought crosses my mind to call Calvin and discuss retracting the claim. My hand instinctively reaches for my phone. "I can't continue down this path," Naomi murmurs quietly, her voice small, the constant calls from collection agencies, the letters. My credit is in shambles. Yet, there's something off in her tone, an underlying flatness in her demeanor. I open my laptop and head to her social media profile. There it is, photos from 3 days ago, Naomi at a rooftop bar, cocktail in hand, laughing with friends. The location tag, a posh hotel downtown. This doesn't scream someone living out of their car, I remark, swiveling the screen towards her. She barely acknowledges it. That was before everything went south. The timestamp shows Sunday. Naomi opens and closes her mouth, seemingly at a loss for words. My phone buzzes, it's a message from Rachel. "Ran into your mom at the spa yesterday. She said she was treating Naomi to a stress relief day. Thought you should know." I show the message to Naomi. "Mom took you to the spa yesterday?" Her expression hardens, the facade of vulnerability fading away. "So what? I deserve some relaxation after everything you've put me through." I call Calvin, all the while maintaining my gaze locked on Naomi as the phone rings. "Blair," he responds. "Everything all right? Has Naomi made any payment arrangements yet?" There's a heavy pause. "No, we've sent 3 notices. The next step is formal collections." "Thank you." I hang up. Naomi stands there, the photo album forgotten. "You're really going to follow through with this? Over something so trivial as a car?" I stride to my front door and fling it open. It was never just about the car. "You can't do this. I'm family." "That's precisely why I must." The following morning, a certified letter arrives, final notice before collections kicks in. On the same day, my insurance settlement hits my account. Enough for another new car, with some extra cash left over. Yet, I find myself at a used car dealership buying a 3-year-old dark green Honda Accord. Practical. Dependable. Paid in full. With what's left, I finally open my first investment account. Inside the new Honda, I type a message to Naomi, "I've moved on." The insurance company hasn't. A week later, Calvin calls. "Just a heads up about the claim. The investigation wrapped up. Officially deemed unauthorized use. Collections has begun. Will it affect her credit?" I ask, surprisingly invested in her reply. "Yes, significantly." He pauses. Most family members give in before it gets this serious. You held your ground. I appreciate you telling me. That afternoon, Naomi's boss reaches out to me. "Miss Lucia?" I'm Henry Prescott, Naomi's supervisor. We've dismissed her following our internal investigation. I rub my temples, understanding the implications. The consequences ripple out. Aunt Joyce calls to express her apologies. I didn't know the full story. Dad's friends stop inquiring about me. Mom informs her bridge club that it was all a misunderstanding. The tension releases, molecule by molecule, until 3 weeks later, Naomi stands at my door once more. Sober now. No tears. Just an acceptance evident in her posture. "I can't settle this," she utters simply. They're going to garnish my wages for years. I lean against the door frame, neither inviting her inside nor turning her away. That's what happens when we make choices. Her eyes, so reminiscent of my own, search mine. Can't you forgive me? We're family? The question lingers between us, heavy with what it entails. For a fleeting moment, I see us clearly, two women molded by the same fractured system, on opposing sides of a divide neither of us created. I forgive you, I say, meaning it deeply. But forgiveness doesn't erase the repercussions. I gently shut the door, the soft click of the latch feeling more conclusive than any loud bang ever could. I navigate my Honda along the winding mountain roads, windows down to embrace the refreshing Colorado air. It's been 6 months since that decisive moment with Naomi, and the tension that had resided between my shoulder blades for 3 decades has finally loosened. The radio plays a song about eagles that my mom used to hum while preparing Sunday meals. For the first time, the memory feels gentle instead of painful. It simply lingers, like an old photograph of someone from my past. My new apartment, conveniently lower in cost than I could afford, is a deliberate choice. Each month, my savings cushion expands, quietly safeguarding me against future troubles. Just last week, I received a promotion, a testament to the concentrated effort I've put into my work since detaching from the family turmoil. My phone buzzes on the passenger seat, and Tanya's name lights up the screen. Your parents are wondering if you'll be attending the wedding, she says after exchanging pleasantries. Her tone carries that familiar hint of familial guilt, implying I should feel remorseful for something. I've sent my gift, I respond, surprised by the calmness in my voice. I truly wish Greg and Michelle all the best. We share a lingering silence, but I don't rush to break it. That behavior belonged to the old Blair, the one who couldn't handle awkward pauses. Tanya brings up Naomi's complaints about payments, fishing for a reaction. I tap my fingers on the steering wheel. That was her decision, not mine. The conversation wraps up quickly. No guilt lingers, no second guessing. Just the open road ahead, with mountains aglow in golden hues from the late afternoon sun. Back home, I wash my car in the driveway, taking pride in how my unassuming sedan shines with soapy water. Mrs. Fitzgerald from next door pauses with her terrier, observing, "That's a humble car for someone who's a successful accountant, though not unkindly." I caress the hood, repeating a gesture I used with my old Subaru, but the sentiment is entirely different. This car comes free of strings or burdens. I smile and respond, that makes it truly priceless. Later, relaxing on my balcony with tea and the journal my therapist recommended, I pen thoughts I couldn't have conceived 6 months ago. I mistook forgiveness for enabling. For years, I believed peace was synonymous with silence. Now I've realized that my worth is not dictated by what I'll tolerate. Establishing boundaries is not cruelty, it's an act of self-respect. The pages fill with milestones marking my healing journey, weekly therapy sessions dismantling family dynamics, new friendships that respect my limits, my first Thanksgiving with Rachel's family, where disputes arose without disaster. That wonderful night of 8 uninterrupted hours of sleep, free from anxiety. At work, Jennifer from payroll swings by with coffee. "Can I ask you something personal?" she whispers. I nod, and she continues, "My sister keeps asking for money. She never repays it, yet makes me feel awful when I decline." I instantly recognize the hunched form, the subdued tone as if I were glancing at last year's version of myself. I encountered something similar, I share, careful not to intrude. But they're family. I should help, right? Her eyes silently beg for the answer she yearns for, not the one she truly requires. Helping doesn't mean harming yourself, I reply softly. There's a distinction between support and enabling. A month later, Jennifer brings me chocolate. I told her no, she states proudly, standing taller. She ignored me for a week, but called yesterday to ask how I've been. First time in ages she's shown concern. When the letter arrives from my parents' new address, I'm informed they've sold the family home. Surprisingly, I feel no dread. Inside, they seek reconciliation but on their own terms. Their words talk of water under the bridge and prioritize family, carefully woven into the paragraphs. I draft a thoughtful reply regarding mutual respect and boundaries, then tuck it away in my desk drawer. I might send it someday, or I might not. The urgency has faded away. That evening, I drive to a mountain overlook as the sunset splashes the sky in warm amber and rosy hues. As I step out of the car, I take a deep breath, relaxing my shoulders and standing tall. I used to believe that forgiveness was the glue keeping families together, but now I realize that sometimes, peace comes not from staying quiet but from asserting oneself. Some individuals only evolve when you stop shielding them from the consequences of their actions. The breeze sweeps away my last remnants of doubt, and the view stretches infinitely before me, much like the life I'm finally free to embrace.